Welcome to this week's episode, guys, where we'll be making some unreasonably sized chocolate chip cookies. We have all of our ingredients laid out before us, and in true binging with Babish style, I'm going to walk you through the inception step by step. For these cookies today, we'll need some light brown sugar, granulated sugar, some flour, cinnamon, kosher salt, vanilla, eggs, baking soda, butter, and a lot of chocolate. I'm going with a little bit of dark and a little bit of semi-sweet. These cookies are so good, they're guaranteed to get you off of Santa's naughty list just in time for Christmas. Plus, with the amount that we're making, there's sure to be leftovers, which will make you a favorite amongst all your friends and neighbors. These cookies are not only packed with joy, but also a lot of calories. That's okay though, because we're in the middle of the bulking season. It's winter, time to pack on the pounds. So to answer your question, no, I don't normally wear my shirts this tight. It's just that a larger one would have cost $20, and I'm on a budget right now. So to get started, let's start browning some butter. So into a medium-sized pot, we're going to put 1.5 pounds of butter. That's right, I said 1.5 pounds. We're making a lot of cookies. On a medium-low heat, let it go until it starts simmering like this, and then we're gonna add some Jack. Don't worry, all the alcohol will boil off, but what will be left will be the deeper, oaky, and syrupy bourbon notes that I feel pair so well with all things chocolate. The inspiration for this edition came from Alan Zoe's 150-hour chocolate cake video. If you hadn't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's a work of art in itself. For this recipe, we're going to use 2 ounces and respectfully, gently pour it into our simmering pot of butter. Continue to stir until the milk solids in the butter have begun to lightly toast, which is going to give you a warm and rich, nutty taste to your butter. Next, we're going to include about 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon. Don't worry, this won't make your cookies taste cinnamony. In my opinion, it just gives them a little more warmth and fullness. And toasting the cinnamon with the butter helps bring out the flavor just a little bit more. Continue stirring and simmering until your butter looks something like this and your whole house smells absolutely incredible. At which point we are going to pour our browned butter mixture into a Pyrex measuring cup. Make sure you get all those toasted milk solids that you worked so hard for. And now we're going to allow this beautiful concoction to chill in the refrigerator for 1 hour. During which time we'll do a little bit of cleaning up and get our dry ingredients ready, which is going to be the flour, salt, and baking soda. So with a sifter set into a large mixing bowl, we're going to go in with 6 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour, which is a ridiculous amount, but we're making some giant cookies, which requires a giant amount of flour. To this, we're going to go in with 5 tablespoons of baking soda. That should be enough oomph to get these cookies to rise. And finally, to finish up our dry mixture, 3 tablespoons of maybe 4 tablespoons of kosher salt. Well, salty sweet, it's all good. Next, we're going to thoroughly and vigorously sift all of our dry ingredients, making sure to get rid of all those lumps. No one likes to find a floury pocket in their cookie. Finally, whisk all of your dry ingredients together to ensure an even and homogeneous distribution. Set that aside and go get out your stand mixer. Plug it in and then go retrieve your now cooled brown butter mixture from the refrigerator. Dump all the contents into the mixing bowl, making sure not to leave behind any of those precious little brown bits that you worked so hard for. Now for a little bit of sweetness, we're going to add 1.5 cups of white granulated sugar and 1.5 cups of lightly packed brown sugar. A fixed paddle attachment, and on a low speed, beat this buttery, sugary mixture for, a minute or 2 until it looks crumbly and something like that. At which point we are going to invite 6 eggs to the party, 1 at a time, because we want this batter to emulsify evenly. Break out your rubber spatula, scrape down the sides, and continue to mix on a low speed until you're left with a velvety smooth mixture that looks something like this. Now it's time to add our dry ingredients. And if you were thinking to yourself earlier, there's no way he's going to fit all of that into that KitchenAid, you were right, and this is the part of the video where I realized that. Baking is all about making mistakes and learning from those mistakes. Like in Batman Begins, why do we fall? And if you don't get that reference or the response, it's totally fine, it's just that we can't be friends. So this is the point in the video where I decided to abandon the stand mixer motif and go for a more labor-intensive approach. So we're going to go find our largest mixing bowl that we have in the entire house and get a little bit of an arm workout today. So after transferring all of our wet mixture, we're going to slowly and gradually add little bits of our dry mixture and incorporate. You're going to want a good strong wooden spoon for this part because this batter is going to be thicker than a Snicker and you don't want some thin little flimsy thing just making it harder for you. Continue to gradually add your flour, and here's where I'm going to steal a page from John Cannell's cookbook and say that mix until almost fully combined because we still have to add our chocolate. I'm going to rough chop 3 bars of dark chocolate here. And I like this because it gives you some large chunks and some tiny little specks. I like an uneven, asymmetrical, ambiguous distribution of chocolate in my cookies. I feel like it gives them more of a rustic vibe. So we're gonna transfer all of our chocolate into our batter and continue to mix until that batter looks like it is finally done. But wait, I don't know. Does that look like enough chocolate to you? It does it to me. So we're gonna add some semi-sweet chocolate chips. Add most of a 1.5 pound bag, save some for later for decorations, and continue to beat until your arms want to fall off your body. And what you'll be left with is a cookie batter that is absolutely speckled with chocolate all throughout. Give your cookie batter one last little mixture just to ensure the even distribution of chocolate all throughout your batter. Take a little breath, and then transfer that bad boy to the refrigerator to chill for 1 to 2 hours. Maybe make yourself a drink. But before you do that, realize that you forgot to add the damn vanilla. So, with tired arms filling with lactic acid, retrieve your batter from the refrigerator and add, I don't know, a tablespoon or 2 of vanilla extract into your batter. Shake out your arms, go drink a little bit of a Red Bull, and get back to work incorporating that vanilla into that batter. You don't want to miss any steps because these cookies need to be good for Santa. Now go pour yourself some Jack, and this time it's not for the butter. After enjoying your libations, it's now time to form our giant cookies. Onto a greased baking sheet lined with parchment paper, let's scoop a couple of healthy scoops onto here and dome our cookies, form it into something that looks like a cookie. I have no idea what I'm doing, but yeah, that looks good. And let's do that again with another greased baking sheet lined with more parchment paper, a bunch of big scoops, and form it into something that resembles a giant cookie-looking monstrosity. That looks good enough, yeah. But I want my cookies to be pretty, so go fetch the rest of your chocolate chips and let's decorate the top of these cookies to make sure that everyone knows they are filled with chocolate. Spread out the chocolate chips evenly, press firmly into place, and finally behold the absolute abomination that you have created. But wait, before we put these things in the oven, we realize cookies spread whenever they're baking, and we want our cookies to be round because cookies are round. So in order to prevent what is sure to be an absolute mess in my oven, we're going to grease and line with parchment paper a 12-inch cake pan. And then carefully, piece by piece, transfer your giant cookie into said cake pan. Remember what I said earlier about baking and making plenty of mistakes? Well, I'm still making mistakes and I'm still learning. Finally, decorate with some large chocolate squares so that this thing at least looks like a cookie from a distance, and into a preheated 350-degree oven, we are finally ready to start baking our first cookie. Bake on the center rack for 45 to 50 minutes or until the top starts to turn a golden brown. Now, you know I have 2 little girls, so of course I can't make 8 pounds of chocolate chip cookies without at least saving them a couple. So onto a greased baking sheet lined with parchment paper, we're going to roll out 4 nicely sized chocolate chip cookies. And don't forget to decorate the top of those bad boys with more chocolate chips. Because the only thing better than chocolate is more chocolate. But for now, these are going to go chill in the refrigerator as we check on our first giant, big, bad chocolate chip mama jamma cookie. Looking like it's coming along, but you're not going to want to pull it from the oven until it looks something like this. And although I like my cookies to have a little bit more of a rustic, rough edge to them with a mound, this thing came out to be a little more of a cookie cake. Trust me, this thing is 100% cookie. This thing turned out to be an absolute unit and is going to need to cool completely before it comes out of its home. So into a greased 10-inch cake pan lined with parchment paper, we are going to place the rest of our cookie batter. Well, try to get the rest. This was originally going to be 2 giant cookies, but I have too much cookie batter, so we're going to make 3 cookies, a small, medium, and large. Retrieve the rest of your chocolate squares and decorate the tops similar to the way you did the first one. And finally, behold the 2 remaining giant components to this cookie feast, the result of which can only be described as a cartoonish fever dream fueled by a sweet tooth. Into the same preheated 350-degree oven, and we're just going to wing it on the time here, anywhere from 25 to 45 minutes, but just pull them whenever you think they're done. The first one out is the little guy, and the word little there is, of course, contextual. But hey, at least this one looks like an actual cookie. About 20 minutes later, another, pull the other bigger one, and set on the counter to cool completely. Turn off the stove and realize it's past midnight, and oh my god, I've been baking cookies for the last 4 hours. Okay, we're done. Let's go get some sleep. Merry Christmas, y'all. In 3,